Hey everybody, it's Hawk here, and today we are going to talk about the Grell. Now the Grell are specific to D&D. They are a unique creature from there. They appeared in 3.5 in Lords of Madness. Yes, Monster Manual 2 is not actually a 3.5 source book, it's a 3.0 source book, it just happens to be compatible with 3.5, like everything from 3.0. Now, the Grell, you're going to see in the picture here, are this... They look like a brain with a beak sticking out of it and a bunch of tentacles. They look like a really screwed up, like, squid or something. Now, do not let appearances deceive you. This thing is not a mindless predator. It is actually intelligent. About average human intelligence, honestly. It's just very alien. It is capable of speech in its own weird way. And it is not actually a brain with a beak stuck on it. That actually is, while it looks like a brain, and the brain is clearly contained inside of it, it is actually a very hard, and in several cases, inches thick epidermis that is very protective, actually. It's very durable. In any event, you also notice it has lots and lots of tentacles. Lots of them. It has 10 tentacles, actually. Now, these tentacles are, of course, its primary weapon. It does not actually use its beak as a weapon, except as a last resort, or if you're helpless. Now, how are you being rendered helpless? Is it grabbing you and stringing you up in the air? Or... Well, it can. That's not actually what it's doing now. What its tentacles do is smack you, and then those little bulbs you'll see on it, and in some of the pictures you can see it, some you can't. It has a paralytic... be a venom? I believe it would be a venom, actually, because venoms are injected, I'm pretty sure. So it has a paralytic venom, and the more it smacks you, the worse it gets. To put this in D&D game terms, it's actually a very low fortitude DC to begin with. It actually has a negative for Grell. It's really weird. Its save DC is only at 10, and it has a -4 racial penalty. And you're thinking, well, that sounds really stupid. Yes, but it goes up by 1 DC every time it hits you with it. So you only make 1 check. So if it hits you 10 times in one round, it's a DC 20 fort save, or you're paralyzed. And it's going to suck if you're paralyzed, because then it's going to grab you and then fly off. Oh yeah, I didn't mention, they fly. They fly quite well, actually. They have a supernatural ability similar to the fly spell, and they float with that, and they'll grab you and drag you off. They're very strong for their size, actually. You wouldn't think something that big, you know, it's about that-ish, you know, about there. And it's got long floating tentacles, which have about 10-foot reach, so they can stretch out to a fair distance here, actually. About the same as me with my spear here. As you can see, they have a comparable reach to that, which is very impressive. So, they're about as strong as your average adult human, which is fairly impressive for a creature that's size. Like a little bit on the stronger side. Now, things to know about Grell, besides just the stuff I told you. They are immune to electricity, not terribly massive unless your mage really likes shooting electricity at them. They are blind, as that one's fairly obvious. They don't have any eyes or seemingly any sort of visual organs. They have very good sense of hearing, though, and they have what is called an electroreceptor sense, meaning they detect electrical fields inside of a 60-foot radius, which gives them blind sense. Meaning, if you were within 60 feet of a Grell, it probably knows you're there, unless you're really, really skilled at hiding from really strange senses. There's ways to do that in D&D, and there's probably ways to do that in other games. So, the Grell are amazing hunters, and there is a reason for that. They call themselves the Eaters, because that's how they view the world. They are an alien creature from an alternate material plane, and what they do is they colonize other worlds to eat stuff on the said other worlds. Very simple, actually. That's how they break up the world into 3 parts. The Eaten, that's everything that's basically not a Grell, and a handful of other things. It's like 90% of the world. The Inedible. The Inedible are things such as constructs, various types of undead, or things that are just toxic or literally undigestible by a Grell. Now, they kind of just ignore those things, because they don't really care. It's like, I can't eat you, so what do I give a crap about you? Now, those are the things that could probably be treated the most fairly amongst Grell, because they can't eat you, so they don't care about you. So they might actually deal nicely with you. So liches get treated reasonably well, I guess, amongst them, and you can get a fairly decent deal with them if you are so inclined to make a deal with a Grell. I will go into why one might want to do something like that in a bit. The third group, and it's the group that the Grell have a hate-respect relationship with. The Eaters. These are things that eat Grell. See, that bothers Grell, because their entire worldview is might makes right. They are I guess we could call them the ultimate meritocracy. If you have the ability to do something, you can do it. They're not going to inhibit you because you're smaller than them, or because you're something, or, if you're a Grell, that needs to go without saying, if you're a smaller Grell but you're really smart, go as far as you can. Go as far as that will take you. Now, they will all attempt to scheme and connive against you, such as the Grell are wont to do, but they're not going to discriminate against you because you're smaller, or because you're missing 2 tentacles, or because you're purple or something. They don't care. It's not important to them. Ability is what's important to them. So the biggest and strongest inside of their cultures, they are heated, but also ones that have magical ability are heated. And this is the really weird part about them. Even if you aren't in either of those camps, if you're still smart, and you still made a good recommendation as a Grell, they would still give you a fair hearing. This is how civilized Grell operate. They exist in small colonies in the Underdark, typically, because they hate the sun. It doesn't hurt them, they just don't like it. I'm assuming this has to do with the fact that they're all a bunch of basement-building trolls. No, it's a bad internet joke. So the whole thing there is they hate the sun, so they live underground. And the colonies are where civilized Grell live, of course, and they create magical items and do other weird alien Grell stuff, because they're Lovecraftian, and that's what they do. Now, when they're there, as I said, they're the ultimate meritocracy. The whole place is basically just run on consensus. Because they all want the same thing. They all want to go eat stuff. And they all want to go colonize other places, because that's what Grell do. That's it. They're almost like a hive mind without being a hive mind. It's very strange. Now, the closest thing to a supreme leader they have is what is called a Grell patriarch. Now, Grell have a very strange relationship with gender. I'm only pointing this out because it's extremely strange in how their culture morphs itself. Now, they call them a patriarch because when a Grell actually choose whether to be a male or a female. Sort of. Grell are born without gender. Now, at any point, they may choose to become male. There's not really a lot of difference between a male and a genderless Grell. Not really. It's pretty much nothing other than reproductive organs. Now, the more powerful and older Grell generally become more likely to become male. I don't know why this is. They have an alien mindset. I'm not going to try to understand it. But that's what they do. Now, any Grell that doesn't choose this does not automatically become female. They just don't have a gender. Eventually, every 10-ish years, they will go reproduce. There's nothing inherent in this. There's no emotions. There's no relationship. Just that Grell will go find another suitable non-male Grell. That Grell will grow female characteristics. They will go lay a bunch of eggs, fertilize the eggs, and then the both of them will go screw off, going back to doing what they were doing. And the one that was a female will, over the course of several months, lose its female characteristics and go back to being genderless after a while. The eggs will hatch, and then they will go about their business. That's it. That's how Grell reproduce. They're very much lots of babies, and let them all survive on themselves. Now, I've been talking about civilized Grell, who hang out together, and they make really cool magic items, such as something called a lightning lance. It's a metal rod that shoots bolts of lightning. It's pretty self-explanatory. And then they make their other cool alien stuff. There is a second group of Grell, and this is really the only important distinction between Grell, whether they are civilized, belonging to Group 1, or Group 2, ferals. Now, feral is a rather, misleading name. They are not any dumber or any more savage or any less civilized, as it were. than their civilized cousins. They just don't live in a colony. That's pretty much all it is. Most ferals tend to be solitary or perhaps paired hunters. Some of them will exist in small packs of 3 to 6 maybe. And this is not a colony. Of course, this is just them going off doing their own thing because they want to go eat stuff and they just don't want to hang out in a colony. There's nothing wrong with this as far as Grell are concerned. They don't care. You want to go hang out by yourself? Fine. You want to go live in the colony? Fine. You want to leave the colony and then 30 years later come back? Fine. They don't care. It's not important. You are clearly an adept hunter. This is something that happens when Grell begin to get too large and the patriarch, the biggest, strongest, scariest Grell in the whole group, doesn't like that. Because usually they'll try to kill you. Well, kill the Grell. And who they believe is a threat to them. Now they'll leave, and if they think they got enough oomph, they'll come on back and deal with them. Now, I've given you a whole lot of background about Grell, and perhaps you've kind of ascertained why they're dangerous. They are dangerous for a multitude of reasons. Already mentioned the venom they have, their massive amounts of tentacle attacks, the fact they can fly. They're also extremely stealthy. Because they don't walk on the ground, they don't really make noise. Of course, they make some noise because everything makes noise, but they're very stealthy innately. They're very good at it. They're ambush predators, actually. It's their primary way of engaging. They'll drop down from the ceiling, whack the living crap out of you with their tentacles, and then drag you off into some dark corner. Grell are, of course, not stupid. They will actually tail adventuring parties who are going into the dungeons or somewhere and fighting something else, and when you're in the middle of fighting, say, a cave troll or something, they'll gank the mage from behind, drag him off, and hope no one noticed. They do it all the time. That's how ferals work. Now, this gets even worse when you take into account their odd form of communication with one another. The Grell language is made up of 2 parts. One part is an audible clicking sound, a clicking, clacking noise with their beaks. I assume it sounds sort of like terror bird noises if you've never heard that. There's really cool documentaries where they just kind of slam their beaks together and go tuck, 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 tuck. It's really neat. Actually, I can't reproduce the noise and I'm not going to try. And the rest of it is electronic. They literally send sort of electronic signals. I'm not entirely certain how, but it's their electroreceptors. I'm going to slow down, I'm talking too fast. Their electroreceptors pick it up, and that's how they just talk to each other. Now here's the thing. They can talk to each other with one or the other. If they're too far away, they can just clack really loud and people will know. The thing is, this loses pretty much all subtlety or all nuance in the language. It's like me found food type stuff. It's very straightforward, very simple, or just screaming food really loud. Now, you're going, well, what's the point of that? If they're within 60 feet of each other, they can talk utterly silently. It's like they have telepathy. This is terrifying if it's a pack of Grell and they're hunting you, because you can't hear them talking to each other, and they are now making a coordinated strike against you. This is a mistake many people make when they confront the Grell. They don't think it's intelligent, because it doesn't look intelligent. It literally looks like a weird floating brain squid thing. I mean, you're not going to think it's intelligent, right? You're like, oh, it's just some weird magical beast. And then suddenly its buddies gank you from behind because you weren't paying attention. That's the problem with Grell. They're sneaky and they're conniving. The upside to this is they're not as bad as mind flayers, beholders, aboleths, or all sorts of other things. They have no intention of sneaking into human society, or any other society for that matter, and attempting to take control from within, or usurp things, or any of that stuff. They just want to eat you. They're very much a local threat. They're not some massive national threat unless a colony goes without being dealt with for too long. Then they might get so many numbers that they might be able to just eat entire villages, which is its own freaking problem. But that's very much... They're very much a local issue, much like packs of wolves, enraged owlbears, things of that nature are. They can be dealt with on a smaller scale because they're generally encountered on a smaller scale. Now, besides the fact that they're sneaky, intelligent, and can have really cool alien bullcrap because, lightning guns, they got a bunch of other nice stuff. They've got this thing called Grell crystal that they use to build stuff when they feel like building things. Thankfully, they don't build stuff a lot because the stuff's actually pretty cool, so you can use it as nice loot It's literally just a powder. Throw it in about 5 gallons of water. About a pound of it will create a, I believe it was 25 square foot sheet, if you want a sheet. Otherwise, you can trim it to make it do other stuff if you want. It's quite neat, actually. And then they've got all their other crazy, weighty stuff, like making weird Grell alchemy, which normal people can learn, and it's kind of an alternate way to do magic if you want. It's neat, it's interesting, it's not terribly effective at anything, it's just kind of cool, because you're bending the laws of physics. That's actually how they do their own magic, because they have wizards, so watch out for them. Those are called Grell philosophers. You'll notice which ones they are, because they're the ones with all the bling. And I mean bling. They wear lots of rings and pendants and stuff, because they can't wear robes and things. Now, how do you deal with a Grell? Because we're at that point now. How do you deal with them? Well, one, makes yourself immune to paralysis, if it's at all possible. There's several ways to do that in D&D, but really just pump your fort safe really, really high, and you should be fine. Be a warforged, because then they won't even try to eat you. You're just a warforged now. You don't give a crap. There's multiple other ways to deal with them, but that's the big one is pump. Just don't let the tentacles get you. I mean, that should just be obvious. So shoot them at range. Use a nice reach weapon, because watch out, they will float above you outside of a reach of the sword, and then they'll whack you with their poison tentacles because they're jerks. Actually, they're just being smart. So, spears. Spears are your friend. Anything with reach is your friend. Anything with a haft is your friend. Lots of armor is your friend. Having a mage buddy who can make you stop being paralyzed is your friend. Anything that can get rid of you being paralyzed, your friend. Other than that, Grell aren't a massive threat. Except for the grappling part, but it's a thing with tentacles, you kind of assume it's going to grapple. So, really, it's the poison, it's the venom, I'm pretty sure that is venom, it is injected. It's venom and it's the grappling. So watch out for those two things. They shouldn't be too much of a threat beyond that. But remember, you are dealing with a bunch of ambush predators, so they are going to be everywhere. If you're going into a Grell nest, assume they're going to be hiding from you. Find various ways to locate them. There's a series of ways to do this. You can find, one of my favorite ways is to just throw bags of flour into various areas you suspect things are, because it sticks to them. They don't like it, and they get cranky. That kind of works with everything, because who wants to get hit in the face with a bag of flour? Other ways is you just throw glitter dust everywhere, because this is D&D, so just bomb that spell everywhere. It'll make them really nice and obvious. Other ways, bring very strong light sources, and just be very thorough when you're looking around, and just always be aware of your surroundings. This is something that you just harp on as an adventurer. Be aware of your surroundings, or you're going to die. Situational awareness, guys. It goes without saying. Really just be cognizant of anything that a brain of that size, can fit into, because they can do that. They are actually extremely flexible. They hate squeezing into small areas, but they can squeeze into small areas if it becomes necessary. And they're not above doing it, because they would like to survive like the rest of us do. And that is the other thing. Just because they are of an alien mindset, and they may do stuff we consider weird, do not consider them stupid. They are not stupid. They are at least as smart as you are. They are highly successful ambush predators. They've been around for a very long time, and they will continue to be around, because they're good at what they do. They're very good at their chosen niche in the environment. Now, they are also a little on the arrogant side, because they think they're better than the rest of us. Think of that what you will. You may be able to leverage that to your advantage. And one last thing, you're probably not going to be able to talk to them. The odds of you actually being able to establish a rapport with them is pretty minor. Now, it's possible, but if they're doing that, it's probably a slaver or some evil mage who's either making gear for them, getting them things they can't get themselves, which is very rare because they usually don't care. But it's typically getting them food. Getting them food is source number one. And you will always consider you a meat bag, because that's all you are to them. So negotiations, pretty much right out. You're going to have to kill them, because they're going to try to kill you first. And be aware of the occasional turncoat who's working for them, probably to stop themselves from being eaten. Just so you're aware. It's not common, but it does crop up every now and then. Now, with that being said, hope you all enjoyed the video. Remember to like, share, subscribe, ring the notification bell to be sure you're getting all of this, and I will see you all later. Peace out.